Acclaimed Mexican American author Sandra Cisneros has redefined American literature with groundbreaking work that has positioned her as a literary icon. Born into a bookless home, she became one of America's most decorated writers, earning the MacArthur Genius Fellowship, the National Medal of Arts from President Obama, the PEN Nabokov Award for International Literature, the National Book Critics Circle Award, and numerous other prestigious honors. A dual Mexican-American citizen, at 71, Cisneros remains an activist and a philanthropist, traveling globally to champion literacy, support emerging writers, and advocate for marginalized communities. Today, Cisneros and filmmaker Soco Aguilar will present a teaser of a forthcoming documentary called Sandra Cisneros, Uncensored. Soco Aguilar is an award-winning Mexicana filmmaker with more than 25 years of experience producing documentary and narrative films. She won Mexico's prestigious Ariel Award for Best Animated Production for La Leyenda de la Nahuala, which remains a Netflix classic and spawned a Disney-acquired series. Her credits include producing films produced by Universal Pictures and documentary content for PBS's Frontline, BBC, and the Discovery Channel. Currently, she's developing her first feature fiction script, Ama, a time travel thriller inspired by Google's quantum breakthrough, where a physicist journeys to 1994 Mexico to solve her parents' disappearance amid the real-life Colosio assassination conspiracy. Please help me welcome Sandra Cisneros and Soco Aguilar to Rotary.
My dad always said when I was born, instead of putting baby powder, they put baking powder into me. That's why I'm. Okay, thank you. Buenos dias. Good morning. I'm usually like, I really enjoy, being in front of an audience, and I think I'm a good speaker, but in Spanish. So today I'm gonna be reading some notes, which I don't like, but since look, the brain always does like some tricks, and you forget some words when it's not your first language, so I will have to follow a script. Bueno, so thank you first of all to the Rotary who invited us today, and thank you, Robin, for giving us your hand and all this preparation for this event. Thank you so much. Thank you, Diego, in technical. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. Well, as Robin will say, my name is Soco Aguilar, and I am a documentary filmmaker with experience in not only in documentary, but also in fiction and animation. And well, I was born in Mexico City, and I lived many years in San Francisco. That really marked my life. So I feel that I've been growing between two different cultures. Even with the language, sometimes it's very refreshing to find people like Sandra here in San Miguel, because then we can speak our own Spanglish and go back, back and forward between English and Spanish. My kids, I have three kids, two 25 and one 23. They tell me that I'm a pocha, and I said, no, you don't know what Spanglish is, and Spanglish is amazing. Okay, so I've spent my career telling stories related to our Mexicanidad, what makes us feel very proud of our traditions, like in the case of La Leyenda de la Nahuala, about the Day of the Dead, that is coming up soon. So you want to watch it, it's in Netflix. and also about like an Olmeca princess, for example, with another movie I made, and also about people whose voices have been overlooked, like indigenous people. So I feel really proud to be surrounded here by all these beautiful murals who talk about our roots and our history, and be next to the poetry room. So this is amazing, and you can feel it in the air. So all these, like my first documentary was about the uprising in Chiapas, the indigenous uprising for the Zapatista movement. I also work on stories that deserve to be preserved, like Carmelo. Carmelo was a musician, and you can watch documentaries called Romantico that was funded by Sundance, and his story is heartbreaking. Some years ago, I reconnected with someone I first met 30 years ago through our mutual friend, the late, great documentary filmmaker, my mentor, Lourdes Portillo, here she is, who just passed last year. That someone that I met is sitting right here with us, and she's Sandra Cisneros. You might be thinking, why make a documentary about Sandra Cisneros? Well, I think it's very important because right now her voice matters more than ever. There are books in the US that have been banned across the whole country. Schools and libraries are removing diverse voices from their shelves. Sandra's books have been challenged. And why? Maybe because they haven't read them. I consider it's important to preserve her voice during a moment when diverse voices are under attack. For those who might not know Sandra's literary legacy, well, you just heard Robin's wonderful introduction, so I'm not going to repeat all her accolades. But while Sandra is known as a literary icon, what many people don't know is that she's a devoted philanthropist and community activist. Through her Macondo Writer Workshop, Sandra has mentored writers of all colors and backgrounds now for more than 3 decades, providing a space where voices that have been historically marginalized can find community, craft, and courage. Through the Alfredo Cisneros del Moral, which is Sandra's dad's name, she supported emerging writers and literacy programs across Texas for 15 years. So Sandra shows up. She goes into schools, especially in underdeserved communities, and talks to students about the power of their own stories. When we learn that our stories have power, it's amazing. So let's start writing, all of us. Write your dreams. Well, she will tell you. She supports independent bookstores, bookstores that serve as cultural lifelines in neighborhoods that desperately need them. She supports the Under the Volcano Writers Workshop, an international workshop open to everyone in Tepoztlán, Morelos, in the state of Morelos. And here in San Miguel, she supports PEN and Felisma. As Sandra says, Chicano writers are bridges between communities that are often divided. That's what Sandra does every single day. She builds bridges, puentes. Sandra is a dual citizen of Mexico and the United States. When I was interviewing Elena Poniatowska, I don't know if you have heard about Elena Poniatowska, the renowned Mexican writer. She told me, she's now 93 years old. She says, I want to go to Sandra's birthday because I just want to ask her one thing. Why did she come back to Mexico? So Sandra is a rare individual who made a reverse migration, coming south to make San Miguel de Allende her home. This border crossing life informs everything she creates. At 71, Sandra still travels the world. She's effervescent, she's working, she's fighting, and she's writing. In just a moment, thanks to Diego here, you'll see a 6-minute teaser. A teaser is like a trailer of a movie that hasn't been done. You know, it's just like the beginning. That gives you a glimpse, a very short glimpse into Sandra's world, the woman, the person, the human being behind the author. This teaser has been completely self-funded and is helping us show the world what the finished documentary will look like. I invented a term called Viva Cine Anima, which means that the documentary will not only have like the typical interviews, but it will have some animation and a stop motion and some sequences of metacine, which is that we are going to recreate some famous scenes from the golden age of Mexican cinema to give life to Sandra's long, ¿cómo se dice? Deseados, queridos sueños, long dreams, yeah. Like being an opera singer, for example. Okay, now this thing closed. I'm about to finish. So, yes, so that's what Viva Cine Anima is. So we are now in the development phase, fundraising, and plan to finish this documentary in 2027. After the teaser, Sandra will share some words with you herself. And I promise you she's going to inspire you, challenge you, and make you laugh, because that's what she does. So without further ado, let me show you a little taste, una probadita de Sandra Cisneros sin censura, or Sandra Cisneros Uncensored. Thank you.
If you were to describe Sandra in one word, what word would you pick?
One word, híjole.
You know, one word for especially a person with her complexity.
That's hard for Sandra.
Are you ready? Tell me when. Let's go. In the words of Zapata, vámonos, muchachos.
Log what's in here and send it to me. I'm not ready to send it, so I'm not done yet. These are cash receipts. I don't know. I can't see. I can't see. The Betsy Hotel in Miami gave these nice bookmarks with seeds in them. I thought, since you have a yard, would you like to just bury them and see if wildflowers come up? Se publicó hace 40 años, pero yo empecé a escribirlo hace 42 años. I was just doing it con amor and as a way of healing my own trauma from being a witness.
I think that she's somebody who is able to combine an intellect, a sense of history, a sense of politics into her work, and touches different people in different ways, does different work in the heart of the people that it reaches.
And I write notes back and forth between myself and the versions of myself that have changed as I've read this book.
In some ways, the syntax is different. The voice, the narrator, the quirk, it's what makes it Sandra.
We have to remember the civilities that make us human. One of the strongest insults I've heard in Mexico is to say, esa es una persona sin cultura. I want to remind people que somos de las Américas Norte y Sur.
Déjame que te cuente limeño, déjame que te diga la gloria del ensueño que evoca la memoria del viejo puente, el río y la alameda. Déjame que te cuente limeño, ahora que aún perdura el recuerdo, ahora que aún se mecen en un sueño el viejo puente, el río y la alameda.
Para servirle a sus órdenes.
I grew up where you had to lose your Spanish. If you lose the language, you're losing the food, you're losing the music, you're losing the literature. You lose. And you lose your sense of center. I'm considered to be, along with Sandra, the Latino community. We're going to be the largest ethnic group in the United States.
Sandra and the conspirators of the Salón Infinita reimagined San Antonio. Controversy over Sandra's painting her house plumbago, a kind of quintessential Mexican color.
Anytime you do something outside the norm, it's going to be criticized. If you're a woman, it's going to be criticized. If you're a person of color, it's going to be criticized. Her purple house was, all of that.
That's so refreshing, especially in the ways that Latinas are supposed to write or behave, the societal norms of what that means and breaking through those things in a way that's also full of love and compassion.
Oh, a hawk. So much gratitude for lo que la vida me ha dado. Instead of being the nurturing geisha that society wants us to be, no. I'm going to leave the planet soon and I have to make my art. This is like a virgen, no?
Totally.
And it's a panocha. Our power is so strong that people are afraid of the word. Imagine if men had to go around calling their thing my little pee-pee. Panocha power! Power! Virgen! Guadalupe power!
Todo un grupo de gente, algunas veces hispanas, se han ido de México a Estados Unidos y se encuentran en la literatura de Sandra Cisneros, que recuerda al santo, recuerda al pocillo de barro, que recuerda a las ferias, al rey Lete, en fin, todos los asuntos que se conciernen sobre todo a México, ¿no?
But that's how life is. Gives you enough time and then it says, okay, vámonos. You too shall be ashes and so will I.
No tengo tiempo, chef.
Take it off because I'm shorter than the podium. Okay. Primero quiero dar las gracias a ti, a Soco Aguilar. I want to thank all of you, and especially Soco Aguilar. Every single person here deserves to have a documentary made about your life. And for me to have this happening is the most astonishing thing as I near my 71st birthday, because I am the child of illiterate country people in a town so small outside of Silao that's not even on the map. If my grandparents had not been pushed out by the Mexican Civil War, there's no way I would be here as an author. So I'm very moved and tan emocionada de este momento. Siento la presencia de mis antepasados to be in a library. I am the product of a very tenacious woman who never graduated from high school and a Mexican man who was so arrogant and so much from Mexico City that he thought he was better than anyone in the universe. And this wonderful combination of a woman who wished she had finished high school, of parents who were illiterate, and this Mexico City man who immigrated to the United States, served in World War II. This combination of two people were able to create me. There's no way I would be a writer without my mother's love of public libraries, museums, and even though we lived in the worst neighborhoods the police were afraid to come into, my father always felt we were better than anyone else. And we could do anything. And fortunately, thanks for the year that I was born, 1954, by the time I got to college, by the time I got to high school, there were grants that allowed me to become who I am. Think of the quietest person in the class who doesn't even look up when the camera takes a picture of her in grade school. And that was me. the fact that I'm speaking to you is very emotional for me because I still remember that girl. And if it wasn't for a miracle that happened in 1966 that froze the pipes in our house and made them burst and forced my father to sell his new little red Chevrolet station wagon and put a down payment on a house that would become the model for the house on Mongo Street, maybe I wouldn't be here. So I thank those pipes. I thank that move to a school where a teacher told me something that I needed to know when I was in the 6th grade. And she said, "You are an artist." That made it all clear. And because we need someone to recognize and to push us and to plant that seed when we're that age, 11 years old, and launch us into our destino. So I'm very grateful that I'm having a documentary made on me at all. Why do I want it while I'm still alive? Because there's a lot of mythification, even in that teaser, that I want to say, well, wait a minute, it wasn't like that. And I want clarity because without my choosing, I have become a role model of sorts. But my life has taught me one thing, which I think you know, and I'm so honored to be talking to you because you are light givers as well. And that is cualquier cosa que hacemos con puro amor y amor puro, siempre sale bonito. Whatever thing we make with pure love and only love always turns out well. And that's what you're doing here with the Rotary. So I'm so moved because I often feel like Atlas that I'm carrying this myself. So I share with you that effort to right the planet when it's pushed off its axis and to witness and do something about what we witness when we feel it's unjust. And so I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to speak to you. And I just, that like everyone here, we're all trying to do the very best job we can. And mucha gratitud por su tiempo y su ánimo, más que nada. Thank you for your time and encouragement. And I think we're going to have questions, ¿que no? Yeah. Okay, all right.
I have the first question that was submitted before your presentation today. It's from Brett Holmes. He says, great feature documentaries, like great narratives, thrive on conflict. Whether it's the hero's journey or another structure, the audience needs tension to stay engaged. What conflicts are you centering in your story? Personal, professional, cultural? And how do you balance telling a literary icon's public-facing story while revealing the behind-the-curtain realities and contradictions, past and present?
Wow.
That made her who she is.
Okay, I think I'm going to translate that question as, how is your life difficult? Right? That's how I understand it. And right now, I never expected that my books would be banned. My books are published internationally, and I have the great privilege to meet my readers. They come to my events. They tell me, this character saved my life. I was told by my guidance counselor that I should go to technical school. I'm graduating from UCLA. I get those testimonies all the time, unlike Emily Dickinson and Van Gogh, who never meet their admirers. I meet them all the time. But it's frightening right now to have my books banned. I truly believe that people who ban my books have not read my books, because I wrote my books to heal and to document my students' stories. I was a high school teacher working with high school dropouts in Chicago, my hometown, at minimum wage. And those stories I collected, and that became my bestseller, House on Mongo Street, which recently just became an opera this summer. So, I really truly believe that hablando se entiende la gente. It's speaking to one another, we understand one another. So I want to go to those communities where they banned my book. Next January, Soco and I are going to Fredericksburg, and we're going to give away 100 copies of House on Mongo Street. And I would love to talk to the teachers and the school board and tell them, please let me know how I offended you, because my book was written con puro amor y amor puro, and I can't believe that we can't resolve this talking.
Thank you.
That's my view.
Everybody, Carla has paper and pen so that you can write down some of your questions so that if we don't get all of them.
And if you feel too shy, you can always write to me at Sandra at sandracisneros.com, and I will answer your mail. Or if you can't remember that, just go to my website. There's an address there, and you can write.
Our next question is from Jose, our president-elect.
Hola, Sandra. So I'm going to say this in Spanish and then we can translate in
Ándale.
English. So, eres pura inspiración. Qué bueno tenerte en casa,
Gracias.
en este espacio del Club San Miguel de Allende-Midday. De verdad es un honor. Y tenemos un programa de empoderamiento de niñas. Este programa lleva educación menstrual a niñas de quinto y sexto grado de primaria. Cuando pasaba parte de este teaser, decías de la panocha.
Ajá.
Y me dio mucha risa, pero me hizo mucho sentido.
I know.
Justo porque a nosotros estamos desmitificando todo este tema de la menstruación,
Sí.
todo el tema de los tabús que hay alrededor. Llevamos más de 3,800 niñas entre 10 y 12 años que le hemos llevado al programa. Y más que nada me gustaría escuchar cuál sería tu recomendación, tu mensaje para estas jóvenes niñas, para sus mamás en su vida. Ese sería mi pedimento.
Okay, briefly, the question is, how would I address to young girls and mothers who feel a lot of shame about their femaleness, and especially about menstruation and their all of the way that we've been raised? In my house, I was raised with 6 brothers. Do you know? And one bathroom for 9 people. So you can imagine how hard it was to have your period. And my mother taught me to be ashamed of just having Kotex in the bathroom. You know how hard it is to hide a box of Kotex? It is very difficult. And my mother had so much shame, and she couldn't even talk to me about the reasons that I was bleeding. I had no information. I was kind of lost. I thought I was going to be 71 and still having my period. I had no idea. And I feel that one of the things that my culture has given me great things, but it's given me a great disability about my power as a female. And I try in every way I can. Sometimes I'm shocking. That's why this is called Uncensored, about how I feel about my body, whether I'm 71 or a character in a book who's 13. I try very much to give a message of empowerment and non-shame, because shame is what weakens us and doesn't allow us to reach our potential. I have used a very powerful word. For those of you who are not bilingual, do not use the word I use or you will get stoned. It's a powerful word, but it's a word that we need to retake back, just like the queer community took back the word queer. Because I feel as women that until we feel proud of all of us, we're never going to reach our potential if we're always going to have to use euphemisms for our sexual organs. So to me, it's a way of empowering and taking back the language and reversing it. It might be offensive to some people, but I'm in a place where, I'm trying not to get censored. So I always consider, okay, who am I speaking to? Is there an 11-year-old in the audience? Okay, I'm going to do the G rating talk. I try, because it's important for me to get my message across and never offend anyone. So espero que no le ofendí a usted, no le asusté, but I hope it made you think a little bit about ways that women have to circumnavigate language in ways that men do not.
We have room for one more question, and we're passing out postcards so that you can get more information. I'm coming to you, ma'am.
Do you have any questions for the filmmaker? Because, I'm just the subject, but this is the maker. Quizás.
Sandra, what would be what would be your answer to Elena Poniatowska's question about why you moved to Mexico?
Oh, well, I moved to Mexico because I no longer felt at home in the borderlands. I lived in San Antonio, Texas for almost a quarter of a century. And I really felt in San Antonio that I got there with a bicycle and all my belongings in milk crates and a cat. And I left with a house that I bought with this earnings from my pen, which is quite remarkable. But I felt that I was straining a little bit from the size of San Antonio, and I was doing too much philanthropy and not enough writing. So I came here thanks to the San Miguel Book Fair in 2011. And I thought, the one thing I didn't want was, I'll never move to Mexico. Never say never. Because once I was here, I thought, oh, and this is, I'm going to say yes to San Miguel because it's near the village of my antepasados. And the more I came, I kept coming back. I rented a house. I finished a book here. And eventually, I sold my house in San Antonio and I was shopping for another town in the U.S., not another country. And I have dual citizenship, and so it seemed kind of easy. And I bought a casita that was from a casona. That's how I was able to afford it because it's not a big house. And will I be here for always? Never say forever. But for now, at this time, it has been a town which I have control my philanthropy and my donations and appearances. I have to be very strict because I don't want to repeat what happened in San Antonio. I want to, in this third age of my life, which is my magical mystery tour, to do my best work. And I don't know how much time I have. So I wanted to focus on my writing. That's why.
Thank you, Sandra. And thank you, Soco.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin. And thank you so much, Sandra and Soco. What a privilege and an honor to have you both with us today. And as a small token, sure.
You were giving a postcard. Please scan the code, write your name and email. And because I'm going to get to you, we need to create a community to make this documentary really happen. And if you can also, if you use Instagram, follow us there. Nowadays, it's very important to have followers in Instagram. I don't know why, but that's what it is. So thank you very much, and we'll welcome any help.
Thank you.